So let's look at what we call the house of quality, or in this case, the structure of quality function deployment. Now, the quality function deployment, or what we call house of quality, really comprises of 6 steps. It starts with step number 1, which is customer requirements, and then planning matrix, which is step 2. Step 3 is technical requirements. Step 4 is interrelationship matrix. Step 5 is our roof, and step 6 is our targets. So let's talk about step 1, customer requirements. The first part of the house of quality matrix is customer requirements. Now, this is a documented version of the customer's requirement for the product. Customers' requirements are known as the whats. They're inputs that are collected through direct conversation with the customer. And it's a list of customer inputs that must be structured before it enters into the house of quality. The organization can also collect customer requirements by brainstorming with people who work with customers directly. Now, customer requirement prioritization measures for each customer requirements that are gathered from the questionnaire. Now, we have a high priority requirements that are rated 1 and low priority requirements that are rated 0. So for every requirement, let's calculate the sum of the customer who voted it as high priority versus low priority. So let's calculate the percentage of these customers. Now, here is a table that is looking at the importance of weightage when it comes to customer requirements. Now, we have items 1 through 4, which is lasts a long time, inexpensive, protects the hood, and doesn't rust. Then we have our customers that were numbered 1 through 5. So we only sampled 5 customers. Then we're going to add them up, and then we're going to calculate a percentage. So customer 1 gave lasts a long time a rating of 1, which is a high priority. They gave customer number 2 gave that same one a 0. Customer 3 gave it a 1. Customer 4 and 5 both gave them 0s. We add that up and we get a total of 2. Next, we look at the second requirement, which was inexpensive. Only customers 1, 3, 4, and 5 gave it a 1 rating, while customer 2 was all by themselves at 0. In terms of the third requirement, which means that this particular product has to protect their hood, more than likely the hood of their vehicle, 2 customers gave it a rating of 0, customers 1 and customer 5. In terms of that it doesn't rust, it was pretty kind of even split. Customers 1 and 2 gave an item 1, and customers 3, 4, and 5 rated it as a 0. So now we just sum up each one of the rows. So for lasts a long time, we have 2. In our second requirement of inexpensive, we have 4. In our protects hood, we have 3, and in our last one, we have 2. We add that all together, and we should have 11. So what's the percentage of that sum to the total? Well, the largest one is 4 divided by 11, which is equal to 36.3%. Then we have 27.3, and then 18.2, 2 of those. All of those added together is 100%. The reason why it's so important that we weight which one of those requirements are the most important to the customer is because it's going to help us better identify the requirements for them and how we can achieve a good quality product. Now, the second part of the House of Quality matrix is the planning matrix, and this provides a measure of customer satisfaction with the existing product. It is used to rate the industry competition on each of the customer requirements or the whats that were predefined in the previous part of the House of Quality. It helps the organization to get an overview of their performance when compared to industry competitors, and it's based on a 5-scale rating. Now, step 3, this is the third part of the House of Quality matrix, which are technical requirements. Now, it is also known as maybe engineering characteristics or voice of the company. Now, this section describes the products and terms from the company's perspective. Now, the QFD team, they're going to identify all the measurable characteristics of the product which are related to the customer requirements. and it's going to help to identify the minimum performance requirements that the organization must satisfy for each of the what's that were identified in step 1. Now, the organizational factors that affect the ability to deliver the desired high-quality product need to be listed here. Now, step 4. The fourth part of our house of quality is the interrelationships matrix. Now, this section forms the main body of our house. This section also translates customer requirements into technical characteristics of the product. Now, our QFD team is going to identify the significance of these interrelationships. And the level of interrelationships is weighted on a scale, with each level is assigned a score that is agreed to by our QFD team. The fifth part of our house of quality matrix is the roof. Now, this speaks about the impact of the hows on the what's, so the process on the what's. This identifies where the technical requirements of the product support may or may not obstruct each other. This is also where the QFD team is going to consider the pairing of the technical requirements to form the matrix. And if improving one requirement leads to the deterioration or trade-off of another, we're going to have some sort of minus symbol that's going to be entered here. If improving one requirement leads to the improvement of a technical requirement, then we're going to put a tick or a plus symbol entered there. And finally, in step 6, we have targets, which forms the foundation of our house of quality. Now, this summarizes the conclusions that are drawn from the data from the entire matrix and the team discussions. Now, with technical priorities, this is where each interrelationship weighting is multiplied by the overall weighting from the planning matrix. Then we're going to look at competitive benchmarks. And these show the relative technical position of the existing product and identifies the target levels of performance to be achieved in the new product. And then finally, we have our targets. And this is the final output of the house of quality matrix. And it's a set of engineering target values that are to be met by the new product design. So the output of our first house of quality matrix can be the first stage of our first QFD phase. So it begins by really understanding the first house of quality, which is our customer requirements are translated to technical requirements. That's really the beginning of the phase. Our goal is to move to customer satisfaction. So then our second house of quality might be technical requirements then translating to key part characteristics. And then our third house of quality would be our key part characteristics and how that translates into key process operations. And then the fourth one would be how we take those key process operations and we establish control plans. By establishing good control plans, our process would be in control, which means that we're meeting customer requirements all the time, which in turn would give us great customer satisfaction. That ends topic 2. And now let's move on to topic 3 and define, which is project management basics.